I am going to be your host tonight. I actually am the self-publisher of When Black Starts to Crack, Parental Care in the Black community. I want to say hello to everybody. Hi, Anna. Hi, Gay. Hi, Orthaline. Mary Ann, Bondita, Olivia. Hello, everyone. I wanted to, again, push the book, When Black Starts to Crack. It's a wonderful book. I think it's essential to Black caregivers. And it has some research and about nuances of caregiving in the Black community, some available caregiver resources, and most importantly, 17 shared stories or creative expressions of people who have experienced caregiving. The book is on sale at Amazon.com, or you can contact me at info@gloriarease.com for other purchase options, okay? On this infographic, I wanted to share with you information about the Biden administration actually making funds available for family caregivers. And so in the, what is it called? The American Rescue Program, they allocated $1.4 billion to family caregivers. And out of that, 145 million, no, I'm sorry, $1.4 billion to assist with helping elderlies. And out of that 1.4, then $145 million of that is supposed to go to family caregivers to help them and to assist them. Okay. And so my question was, when I heard this information, is, well, how do we access this? How is this money, this funding available to us? And so what I did is I did the research and found out that the Department of Health and Human Services actually sends the money down to one of their departments. And unfortunately, I can't see it. So I'm going to ask Lesa to unmute and tell me where Department of Human Services sends their money. So number 2, Lesa.
Okay. The number 2, it says, when the states receive these funds, they allocate it to the area agencies on aging via the state-based population funding formulas.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so that's where it goes initially. And so then the states, which will be number 3, the states then allocate it out to their agencies, area agencies on aging, and based on a formula that they have based on population. I'm assuming that it's based on census reports, right? That they, based on that population formula, then they allocate certain funds that go out into the communities, and then it's trickled down. So my suggestion in all of this is that you find out where your area agency on aging is, and find out what resources they have, whether or not they expanded programs, whether or not they implemented new programs, just where you can get information that will assist you in helping with either your caregiver or even yourself. And I think in that graphic is also a telephone number where you can call to find out what your area agency is. Every state has one. Every state has one. So you can have, copy that information. All right. So that was my share. And then what was my other share? I did have another share. Oops. Oh, a fact sheet. So I have a fact sheet that I hope I can share with you also. Let me get it for you. Should have already had it up, so I do apologize. It's under research.
Can you all hear me?
I can hear whoever's talking.
This is Tempe. How you doing? How's everyone?
Hi, Tempe. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I had a little bit of a challenge getting on, so I wanted to make sure you can hear me.
I can hear you well, and I'm having a little technical difficulty too, so we're going to bear with the technical difficulties and make it through it, okay? But we are asking everyone to mute until the question and answer period because we don't want people to overtalk, okay? Thank you for joining, Tempe. Okay, I can't find that document. So what I'm going to do, since I can't find my document, we'll come back to it, is the 2020 AARP fact sheet on the typical African-American caregiver. So that's some information that I'll share with you a little later on. So what I'm going to do is move us right along and to the introduction of our guests. And we do have one guest who will share her story as a caregiver. And then we have another guest who is going to give us some information on Untapped resources, okay? And so we'll start out with Lesa Moore. And Lesa was actually a contributor to the book, When Black Starts to Crack. And she has a phenomenal story that she'd like to share with us. So, Lesa, if you could just tell us a little something about yourself.
Sure. My name is Lesa Moore. I am married 33 years now, 4 kids, 7 grandchildren, live in Maryland, and a sort of old dog named Tigger, who's a family member too, who's over here scratching me on my leg right now. But it seems like every time I get on a Zoom, he wants attention. So, but I am just thrilled to be here and happy to share my story of our tribe taking care of our queen as she transitions. So, if I get a little emotional, you all bear with me.
It's quite all right. We understand.
Mm-hmm. So I'll get started by saying that my grandmother, her name is Jeannie Mae Gregg from Bishopville, South Carolina. She was the matriarch of our family. And 99 years old, full of spunk. Okay. One of her most wonderful things she loved to do was go to the casino at 99 years old. That was her thing.
She was going to the casinos at 99?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Her mom actually passed like 2 days before her 112th birthday. So there was longevity in the family. Okay. So it was going to the casino and scratch off. That was her thing.
Going to the casino and what was the second
scratch
thing?
off lottery tickets. So for her birthday, that is what she wanted, her scratch off lottery tickets. And so she when I tell you full of spunk, brain smart as a whip, I mean, remembered everything from childhood. She would tell us the stories back in the day, just wonderful. And then we noticed like a year prior to her turning 99, she was starting to like repeat things or, wouldn't remember things as much as she used to. But, we as a family, and we have a very, very close-knit family. So, it was our tribe, our family that helped take care of grandma. We called her Jinxie. Where we gave her that nickname from, I have no idea. but that was her nickname. We all called her Jinxie. And so, you know, she had a chairlift in the house because she couldn't go up and down the stairs, but she could walk around, bathe herself, she cooked, some things while sitting in her chair. She had her little crock pot. She cut up her vegetables and everything. Very, very independent, as much as she could be independent. That was grandma. Okay. And then she had one morning, my uncle called me because he was living with her, and said that she had difficulty getting out of the bed, which was rare for her because she was always, getting up, getting in her chairlift, going downstairs, watching TV, putting on her shows. And so she ended up going to the hospital, and she ended up having what they said was a urinary tract infection. Mm. And for those who know, a lot of times older folks who get the urinary tract infection, it's sometimes difficult to overcome it without other things starting to go into effect. So, and this happened during the beginning of COVID. And so, one of the things, when grandma went to the doctor, she was like, I don't want to be in here. I don't want to stay in here. I don't want to be all around, the sick folk and this and that. I want to be home, in my house, I'm fine. And they kept her, and they kept running different tests on her. And it was really hard for us as a family, because when I say our family is very close, we are very close. All her kids are close. The grandkids, we all live, well, not all of us, but a lot of us live within maybe 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes of her house. I'm like a 10-minute drive from her house. So it was hard for us not to be able to go into the hospital because they wouldn't allow us in there. That was kind of like devastating to us. They would allow, it was like two of her sons that were able to go in and see her. But eventually, they kept her in there, and she kept calling, and she would call me on the phone, and she was like, Lesa, I don't want to be in this hospital. I want to come home. And we were like, well, we have to make sure that you are well enough to come home, Jinxie, But she was like, I'm well enough. I can heal myself. I can come home. And, eventually we did get her to come home. But a lot of things we noticed had started to decline. And one of the main things was her ability to walk. When she came home, and it was my husband and my uncles trying to get her into the bed, and it was very difficult. And when she came home that time, she never ever got back up out of that bed. So the doctors, they were treating her for the UTI, giving her different medicines, but it was like a gap between her being so well and then all of a sudden kind of incapacitated. And so as a family, we were like, okay, we have to figure out how we're going to take care of our queen. We have to figure this
Lesa,
out.
let me ask you this. Did the doctors ever talk to you about the fact that oftentimes when elders go into a hospital and they're in there for extended periods of time, that they decline? Some come out where, advanced stages of dementia. And did they ever discuss any of that with you?
It wasn't discussed with me. It may have been discussed with my uncles, her sons. Mm-hmm. But as far as I know, she was just really just fine. The only thing that was different was she couldn't walk anymore. And that was a concern, but she was 99 years old. It's not like she was going to be able to go through a whole series of x-rays and tests, and that was not an option. That was not an option for us. We were like, we're not going to put her through all of that, and especially with COVID, you know? So when she came home, one of the things we ended up having to do was, and we thank God for it as a family, was getting the hospital bed installed in the house. We removed her double bed and had the one, where it could recline and put her legs up and stuff like that. And so that part was a godsend to us. But then we're realizing, okay, she can't get out of bed. We have to change her. We have to wash her. We have to bring the food to her. We got to figure out a plan as to how to do this. Now, mind you, we're going back and forth with the doctors. My uncles were going, and my aunt talking with the doctors, trying to figure out what assistance we could get. But in the meantime, we have to do this. And so one of the really good things my sister thought of was a calendar. It was a huge calendar that was taped on her bedroom door. And we as a family wrote down the shifts that we were going to be there. So there were about, let me see, 4, 5, 6, 7, I'd say about 10 of us that worked in shifts every single day to be there with her, to talk with her, to comb her hair, to make meals. One of my aunts, she was like integral, and my sister, Marianne, integral in paperwork, the paperwork part of it. Because there's a lot of paperwork that goes into when you're starting to have, assistance needed for your loved one. It's a lot of paperwork. And so they took care of that. My uncles, they were doing grocery shopping. We were there to, literally, it was like full circle. When you think of having a baby and taking care of that baby, it comes full circle again to you taking care of your loved one.
So you all actually had to provide 24-hour care for her. And
Yes.
so between the 10 of you, you all had those shifts so did you have any home health aid? Did you have any
We did.
outside
Eventually,
assistance?
as she started to decline, we had a home health aide that came in, I believe it was twice a week. And it was like up to 4 hours a day. And she would come in.
Help if you could do that. Get her in the bed.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Rose, could you please mute your mic?
Oh.
And Harold also, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Let's see. Am I able to mute? Let me see if I can. Okay, I can mute.
Okay.
Oh, no. Okay, Harold.
No.
You have to mute yourself, Harold. Go ahead.
Oh.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, we did have a healthcare. She was fantastic. She was fantastic. But then again, she was fantastic for us, but grandma didn't think she was fantastic all the time. Okay, because as she started to decline, she became angry, a little angry. And you have to remember that it's her, but it's not her, because I can see how someone who doesn't have the support that we had in my family, it could be so overwhelming and so disheartening seeing your loved one in that state, because
Yeah.
she would cry out in pain sometimes, even when the healthcare person would come in the door, but she would cry out in pain just because she just didn't know that person. But she would say, "Oh, they're hurting me. They're hurting me," and they hadn't even touched her. But that's part of the decline.
And can you talk a little bit more about how it feels to see someone that I'm assuming grandma was always a strong woman,
Oh yeah.
very independent.
Oh yeah.
Can you kind of share with us just witnessing that decline? How did that make you?
It was initially, it was kind of like for me personally, I felt like it was like I was in a dream. Like it really wasn't happening and she was going to snap out of it. So I kept waiting for that moment where, okay, Jinxie's back to her normal self, cracking jokes, laughing, but she became more quiet. She regressed in age. She thought she was younger than she was. She thought at times she was like 14 years old. She would talk about dating granddaddy when they first met, and how much he loved her. She also talked about Tiger Woods, she loved Tiger Woods. Loved. And so she would have conversations as though Tiger was her boyfriend and, he loved her so much. And I have a video where I actually recorded her having a conversation with me and my Uncle Johnny in the room about Tiger and how much he told her he loved her. So it's those type of things, seeing that happening, it made me also realize that she was possibly transitioning to the next phase, because I still wasn't ready to accept that she was, her life was coming to an end on this earth. I was always of the mindset, oh, she's going to be way past 100, just like her mama. That was my mindset. But seeing her regress in age and not remember stuff, and then she got to the point where she couldn't remember some of us sometimes when we would walk into the room, she was like, "Who are you?" And then you could see that she was trying to remember, but she couldn't. And then she would have a few minutes later or hours later, she would remember who you were. So that part.
Now, how long was she out of the hospital before she transitioned?
I would say about a few months, few months. So she was home. She was home for a good while. Yeah, okay. She was home for a good while. And got to the point then where she was having difficulty eating, and swallowing. But the schedule that we had, it wasn't so overwhelming for one person all the time, because we had those shifts. It was like my Uncle Harold, who's on here, he would, those pill boxes that, Sunday through Saturday, he would put, all her pills for the week in those, so that whoever was watching her knew which pills to give her at that particular time, because on that calendar we had it written down, what time she needed to take her pills, who was going to be there for these 4 hours, or who was going to be there every day. We even had family members. I had a cousin who came all the way from North Carolina who worked remotely from grandma's house to stay with her 24 hours a day for as long as her job would allow. You know,
what a blessing. That's
yeah,
a tremendous blessing.
yeah.
Absolutely.
When I tell you, we really had, it was a blessing to be able to take care of grandma, who gave birth to us, who helped raise us, because her daughter, her one and only daughter, was my mom, who passed before grandma did. So to pay it back, you know, to her, to be able to take care of her in the way that she did us, was a true honor and a true blessing.
Okay. Well, I'm going to pause right here and ask everybody to, if you have questions, to come off mute, simply because I need to attend to my mother right here in the back. So I'm going to open up the floor for people who have questions and for you to be able to expand on even more your experience as a caregiver. So if someone has a question, then you can unmute yourself. And then, can someone try to unmute yourself? If I muted you, I don't know if you're able to unmute. Carol, can you unmute yourself? So maybe not. So
This is
I'm going
Opaline
to,
Williams. I did unmute myself.
okay.
And I did have a question. I don't know whether Sister Moore can answer, but it talks about the funds that are available for caregiving. I think I drilled down on it. I guess I need to contact the local office. In this case, my mom is living in the District of Columbia. So I would have to contact the DC Office of Aging. But then my thought with that would be, are these funds income based?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay. And see,
Yeah.
that's something that, you know, in looking at a lot of the information, that's not like spelled out. You know, I mean, it's not there. That was one of the questions that I had. So,
But I would think that it is also dependent on your state and your area. Not everybody is the same. I know that Virginia, yes, it is income based, but they have different income levels. So the income level in DC may be different than the one in Virginia. May be different than the one in Maryland. And I would suggest that contacting the AAA and ask them those questions.
Okay.
Is it income based? What is the income level? Yeah, that's what I would recommend doing.
Okay.
Can I say something to that?
Certainly. Who is that?
This is Tempe. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, Tempe,
Okay.
I could hear you. Yes.
Okay, great. So hello, everyone. So just to piggyback off of the income base, I'm in the process, in the final stages of a program called Consumer Direct Care. Is anybody familiar with that?
Yes, I am. I had the option of deciding to either go community or agency-based care for my mom. Yes.
Okay, so that was what I wanted to say. I'm in the final stages of that. I haven't started, but I am my mom's caregiver, and so I just learned about it, and it's a long process, very tedious, but it's very well worth it.
Absolutely. It certainly is.
Let me ask you, Tempe. So the process then in Maryland is what? I don't remember the process being that arduous in Virginia. But part of it was because the Office on Aging was able to get my mother through and qualify for Medicaid based on need, not necessarily because she was like $200-300 over the threshold to get Medicaid, and they were able to help me get her through Medicaid, qualify for Medicaid based on need. And it was such a quick process for me. It wasn't that difficult. So is it a lot of paperwork in Maryland, or what is the process?
So I'm actually in D.C., in the District of Columbia, and the paperwork is like a Bible, but most of it is just reading, going through everything, and you have to get fingerprinted, you have to get the CPR certification, they do a background search on you, and then all the other things is just, you just have to read those things to just know what to do and what consumer direct care is all about. And it's a 12-step, but most of the steps is before you get to the budget hearing. The budget hearing is where they let you know how much you're going to be getting paid. That's the stage where I am this week. That's the 12th stage. But it is very tedious and time-consuming in getting everything back into the company, to the government. Yeah.
I chose to do agency direct so that the agency would provide community care for my mom. But what I did is I became certified as a caregiver. And I had to do the CPR. I had to get certified. To me, that was a little easier, plus what I wanted was knowledge. I felt that if I could take these classes and learn, then I would know how to better care for my mother, right? And so I chose to go that direction because it was all very new to me. So I wanted to make sure I was doing what needed to be done for her.
It sounds like you're doing the same thing. I had to do the same thing. I had to get CPR certified. And my mom, she does qualify to have the agency, but they were sending so many different aides that was not properly taking care of my mom. And I tell you, I have lost my holiness so many times crooked out on it. So I had to do what I
know that's right.
Yes, they don't care about your people and they don't love
Do
your
not.
people. So since I'm been here with me, 10 years has come off of her life. She looks so beautiful, so bright, uplifted, and she too likes to go to the casino. Yes. So I'm grateful that I'm able to do this because I was sick during COVID. I was very, very sick at one time and came down with diabetes and beat diabetes. So I'm grateful that I had the energy and the time to take care of my mother.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
It's an honor to be able to do that. It really is. It really is. One of the things that really did help us also, especially when her diet started to change, was having meals prepared and sent to her home. That was really, really a lot of help. Not that she ate it all. She was, taste it and like, well, but it was something that we were able to, especially when we couldn't cook all the time, to be able to give her lots of fruits and vegetables and soups and stuff like that. That came in very, very handy. And it was a lot of food for one person. It was a lot.
Was it through Meals on Wheels or who?
Oh gosh, what was the name of it? It wasn't Meals on Wheels. It was another PG County agency run. I don't know, Marianne or Harold or Uncle Tommy. If you remember the name of it, please let me refresh my memory. But it was not Meals on Wheels.
Is Uncle Tommy on the line? Is Uncle Tommy with us?
I believe he's on the phone.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Yep, there they are. Uncle Tommy and Aunt Sharon.
Okay. So you all are part of the support system that Lesa had. Is that correct?
Yes, we are. I'm
Okay.
Uncle Tommy. Harold
is Uncle Harold, and
Yep.
he is my baby brother. Lisa is my
Okay.
sweet niece,
Okay.
and
All right.
yes, the family, the tribe is here. Less one, less two actually.
Yep. And Marianne, my sister, who was also, she was actually there with Uncle Tommy and Aunt Sharon, and I believe Harold, when Jinxie passed. So they were there at her very last second. And Olivia, my daughter, also is on here, who also was one of the caregivers too. So
Okay. All right. Now, do any of you have a different experience? I mean, everybody's experience,
mm-hmm.
everybody experience
Question.
situations differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it was a loving, caring family. I certainly do applaud you all for coming together as a family, as a group, to offer support. That was not my story,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure it's not the story of a lot of people, because
Mm-hmm.
not everybody is willing or able
Mm-hmm.
to support.
Mm-hmm.
So does anybody want to add to, or embellish or talk about anything that Lisa has already shared about the experience? How was it for you, Uncle Tommy?
Uh, it was probably the toughest experience that I've ever gone through.
Mm-hmm.
It was very, very difficult.
Thank you for putting those things.
I used to, I guess, when you think
Lights
about
are off
contributing
upstairs.
to mom's health during her homegoing transition, I tried to put on a happy face every time I'd see her, and I can remember that while I always repeated the 23rd song and taught her the 23rd song, she would sometimes ask, "Who am I?" Uh, because she forgot who I was, but she could recite the 23rd song completely. Um, this session here is very interesting, and it sure takes me back. Although when I turn on the phone, mom's picture pops up.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a question. Since mom passed, I have found myself being blessed with a caregiver who is my wife, Sharon. And I'm the caregiver recipient now. And the question I have is
What is the advantage of becoming a certified caregiver? Are you in Virginia, Gloria?
I am in Virginia. I
Mm-hmm.
am in Virginia. The biggest benefit for me was, first of all, the training that I had to go through, the information that I learned. I learned so much through that certification process because I was new to caregiving, just understanding what IDLs are, ADLs and IADLs, and how to, if she was choking, how to help her with that. I had none of that knowledge. I didn't have any of that information. So the benefit for me was making me a better caregiver. Okay. The other side was the finances. So I could get paid for caring for her through the agency. They paid me. I was actually an employee of theirs, and I really had not planned to maybe just do the weekends. I did not want to have. We've had some experiences with home health aides. Not all of them are good, y'all.
Yes.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we had gone through a list of them, and I am a pretty direct person, so it wasn't pleasant for the aide, and it wasn't pleasant for me, because I really, I'm not really good at sugarcoating a lot of things. I'm kind of direct, and I tell you, ask you questions directly, and I give you responses directly. And so it was a challenge, right? So I really became certified because I didn't want a lot of different aides coming in through the house. And if I found one who could only do 5 days a week, I would be willing to do the weekend. So I needed to be a certified caregiver in order to do that, and get paid for the work, for the care that I was giving. And so I think more than anything, it's a personal preference. Um, for me, again, it was because I didn't want different A's coming in, and I didn't want to go through, because I'd already had the experience of a aide is supposed to be there at 9 o'clock, and you get a telephone call at 9:15 saying, or a text or something saying,
Mhm.
I can't make it. And then the agency saying, when you first start with them, well, if someone can't make it, we will just send you a substitute. And then the whole day goes by and they haven't found anybody, because,
Mhm.
they really
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
embellish what they can do and what they have the capacity to do, right?
Mhm.
So that was the benefit for me.
Well, we've
Mhm.
certainly been there, and I'd like to talk to you offline about who to reach out to, more
Okay.
so for the help from the health standpoint of CPR and all of that.
I'll be more than happy. My email address for anyone is info@gloriarease.com. And Rease is spelled Reaste. Most people spell it Ree. So, yeah, if you want to be in touch with me, please feel free to send me an email and we can
Okay,
talk.
thank
Okay?
you.
You're quite welcome. Yeah. Let's see, what's in the chat room? This is Rose, Miss Ross's daughter, and Claude's sister. Okay, so who is Ross, Mrs. Ross? And who is Claude? So, Rose, where are you, Rose? Hi, Rose.
Hello, I'm here. That message
Okay.
is to Irene, who grew up
Oh,
in my neighborhood.
oh, okay. All right.
What
So you have
there?
Excuse me?
go ahead, Rose. I'm sorry.
No,
What were
did
you
you
about to
ask
say?
a question?
I was gonna tell Irene that she has
No,
a long-term.
I, yeah, can you hear?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, Rose sent me that privately and I responded. So we're connected from years
Oh,
ago.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
There,
All
there
right.
is. If there are no more questions for me, I
I
do
do
have
have a
one.
question for you, Lesa.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Thank you for your experience. It was quite lovely. Um, I took care of my stepfather, helped my mom take care of my stepfather for about 10 years. He lived long with Alzheimer's. And now my stepmother,
Mhm.
on the other side of the equation, is suffering. And I
Mhm.
noticed, I took a note that you said the hospital bed was a godsend to
Yeah.
you. My stepmother fell out of the bed not long ago and had to get stitches. My father clearly is exhausted from the difference in her state of being. He had surgery, and when he was in the hospital, she declined greatly. As Miss Rease was saying, that can happen when some changes
Mhm.
go on in the situation.
Mhm.
So, how would that be, more helpful than just my father being in the bed with her?
For us, it was easier to have that type of bed to be able to clean, wash grandma, to be
Yeah,
able to feed her without her being able to choke. Um,
because you can incline it,
yes,
decline.
and lower the bed
Yeah,
so it's not so high.
and the rails go up and down too on the
The
hospital
rails
bed.
go up and down.
They won't fall
Yes,
out. Okay.
yes. So
Thank
she wouldn't, because that was a concern of ours, that she may roll over, if nobody's in the room.
you. Mhm.
So it really, really was good. And it was, you know, folks tend to think that hospice care is like a really bad thing sometimes, that
Yeah.
it's like, no, I'm doing that. But the tools that you're able to get when you're at home doing the hospice with because we had a recliner in the room that was was sent to us, the
Mhm.
hospital bed, the aide, of course, was bringing in all of the, like the bed pads, the,
Yeah.
adult diapers,
Yes.
ointments, all that type of stuff, or, possible bed sores and all that kind of stuff that was needed. They were able to provide to us, and we didn't have to come out of pocket for it. It was part of the, but see, we had to go through the doctors. The doctor had to declare
Right.
that grandma was unable to take care of herself and she was not going to be put in a hospice facility.
Right. That's such a blessing. I think you answered a major question for me, Lesa. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I would like to share before we turn it over to our wonderful sister Irene here. I want to share a video of my grandma and her love for Tiger. I'm not sure if Uncle Tommy, if you've seen this. So if you want to step away, it's okay. Harry too, if it's too hard for you. But I want to share with you all our queen and how much she loved her Tiger Woods. So let me try to share this. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay.
No, that's not Tiger.
I wonder who it is. One man is like I always got around with. What is it, Lisa?
I'm not sure who that is, but I know it's not Tiger.
You don't let me slip. How old was your grandmother?
She was
99.
fine.
In about 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he don't come now but every 3 weeks.
He don't come but every 3 weeks.
Yeah, but you ain't ready to do nothing enough.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see him and hug him.
Oh.
And kiss him and tell him I love him.
Oh.
Oh man, for somebody else jump in there.
What you gonna do if somebody else jump in there and hug Tiger?
I'm gonna knock him out. That's my man, honey. Oh, the respect he got and the realness he got and the love he got from it. It's me. Oh my God. Man, I love that guy because he loved me too.
Oh.
He told me between me and him.
Okay.
He was the real. Oh, this almost thing.
When?
When Tiger told me that.
What?
He said nothing will stand between us.
Oh, shucks.
We are locked together with a hand key. I said. Was that her hospital bed that you were referring to?
Hi, I'm Olivia. This is Lisa's daughter. I think she froze, but yes, that was her hospital bed.
Is everybody frozen?
No.
Oh, Lisa, just Lisa.
No.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Oh,
So,
she was
and that
on my
was so-
dad's computer and it died.
Oh,
She's coming back.
okay.
She'll get on mine. Hold on.
Okay. That was excellent information about the hospice care, though. I had to leave and tend to mom for a moment, so I couldn't comment on it. But I felt that was really good information about the hospice care. My mother's healthcare person has suggested hospice care for mom, but I didn't think she was ready for hospice care.
May I say something, Gloria? This is Irene. I appreciate the comment about hospice, but I do want to make a couple of corrections, I'll just say, to everyone. Hospice, first of all, is service and support. It's not a place. And unfortunately, people still hold that idea and notion. Hospice is one of the uh, underused resources that's available. And for a host of reasons, African Americans are reluctant to use
Mhm.
hospice services. Let me just say, in my practice, I've had people on hospice for 2 and 3 years, because you can be disenrolled, re-enrolled, and I tell clients the benefit is that you can get, as Lisa said, medications covered and paid for, equipment covered and paid for, another set of eyes to look at the care. And also, it is also possible for an individual to apply, or to ask to be considered for admission to hospice. Yes, the doctor has to sign off, but you, as the caregiver, family member, friend, can initiate the process. And one of the best hospice companies, because there are many, many, many hospice companies. One in this area is Vitas, Vitas. And the medical director, by the way, is an African American woman. And so I don't need to say any more about the advantage and sensitivity of that. But hospice is an untapped resource. And any individual who has Medicare insurance A and B, check that resource out.
You
That's
know,
great information.
I wanted to say that there was a great article recently in the paper because Jimmy Carter is sort of one of the pioneers that have pushed forth legislation about hospice care. And this article was explaining why he went into hospice
Mhm.
and all. But again, for the resources, those things that you were saying, and you can. My girlfriend's aunt was in hospice for 8 years before she passed. But that elevated the resources that she could receive, which was really a help to her in the latter part of her life.
Excellent.
Okay. Well, that's great information. Any other questions for Lisa or her family members? No. Irene, are you able to do your presentation without me sharing the screen?
Of
I mean,
course,
are you able to pull it up on?
I'm sorry.
Okay, Lyra is sharing your screen. All right. Thank you, Lyra.
Okay.
Lyra is so on it. So we are going, Lisa, thank you so much for that wonderful sharing of your story, your family for participating in it. We learned a lot. We certainly learned a lot. And, you know, our hearts are out, goes out to you, all of you. And we thank you for how you took care of your queen, the matriarch of your family. Greatly appreciate that you all pulled together for me to see an example, a model of families that can pull together and care for a loved one. So thank you for that.
And she just yelled from upstairs, thank you.
Okay.
She's trying to
Thank you, Olivia.
reboot her computer.
Okay. All right. So we're going to transition to our next guest, who is Irene, who's already shared a wealth of knowledge with us, even before she started her presentation. And I'm going to let Irene tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do. And
I was a family caregiver with my parents and my aunts. I'm an only child, so I was very, very jealous of Lisa and the range of support that she had. For me, it was a little different as an only child, and I can share a bit about this as we go through the slides. But I want people to come away with good information. Some of it you know already, but share it, share it, share it. And I chose the title about tools to fix the crack. And this business of caregiving, let me back up. I'm a applied gerontologist, geriatric care manager. It is a certification. It requires education, training, certification, and I have extended my training and education post a PhD. So it's interesting how caregiving can um, change the course and direction of our lives, certainly interrupt our lives as well. I'm going to move through these, so I'm always interested in the questions and giving the answers to the extent that I can. 4 ways of thinking about this caregiving business and getting it straight, so that you're not so fragmented. And this was passed on to me, and I share it with clients. I'm based in DC, but I have clients over the United States. So, for those of you who can't see the screen, I'm going to give you a few words to just jot down. 4 tools that you must pay attention to and have in your toolkit. And I'll explain them, but let me tell you, there are 4 kinds of tools: legal, health, medical, social, financial. Legal, health, medical, social, and financial. It takes all of those 4 tools to fill that crack, if that's what we want to call it, in terms of being an effective caregiver. Can change the slide. Okay, let's look at the legal tools. And I think in a month, Gloria will have an elder law attorney to do a presentation. But as part of my work and certification and coaching and education with individuals and families, I always have to stress and start out with whether or not they have their legal tools in place. Power papers. And that's a phrase that I've borrowed from one of my colleagues who's an elder law attorney. Power papers. You can't do anything legally without having power of attorney. And I want to just hold right here and say, those of you who are caregivers, you yourself should have a power of attorney that you have given to someone else to act as your agent. And often we are concerned about the parent and we're not taking care of our own health and welfare and being. So if you don't have your power papers together, please consider doing that. And that means a durable power of attorney for financial and a durable power of attorney for health. And durable is a important word. And if anyone has a question as we go along after the presentation, I can quickly tell you why that durable power of attorney is important. Also, everyone who is doing caregiving in any form should have an authorization from that care receiver or recipient. Authorization, it's a simple document that you can draw up yourself. It says, I, Irene Jackson Brown, give my husband, Enrique Brown, authorization to review information about my medical issues, to disclose information, to get information. It serves a bit of a difference than the durable power of attorney. You can no longer present yourself and say, I want to look at my loved one's medical file or medications. It is just a tool to get you through the layers of bureaucracy because of this business called the law called HIPAA, which I'm sure most of you all have encountered. So do an authorization. Someone is giving you permission to access their medical information. And a will, trust, that's something to consider. And I always say to clients, get your papers first. Will happens after you pass. Certainly important document to have for yourself as a caregiver. For yourself as a caregiver, get your house in order. And also consult an elder. Yes, there it is. Someone put it up. Elder law and or estate attorney. Too often we go to a general practitioner for information and guidance. There is some specific legal pieces that are best known by getting advice from an elder law or an estate attorney. Next slide. Here's some things to put in your toolkit so that you don't have to continue to repeat the same information. Write, put together a health history narrative for yourself and for your loved one. In 1991, my mother had a full hysterectomy. She came out of it well, et cetera, et cetera. In 2000, she fell. It was unobserved. Whatever that information that is essential, critical, yes, Gloria's thing, be sure to have that authorization sign. And I go a step further and even have that authorization notarized. You don't have to do it, but it just gives it another level of, quote, authority. So health history narrative, write that out. And when you go to the physician for the first time, or doctor or hospital, you just give them a copy of that health history narrative. Of course, have list of doctors. I can't tell you how many clients, when they come to me, who's your mother's doctor? What's the number? That doctor should have a copy of your authorization in your loved one's file. Also, as a caregiver, you should have copies of her or his insurance cards, front and back. That's something that's overlooked. I can't tell you how many times I work with families and individuals, and I say, does your mother or father have, what insurance, primary and secondary? And they can't give me an answer. So not only do you want to know, you want copies of those insurance cards. And I think Lesa brought it out about her uncle filling the pill box. So having a medication system is really, really key. I can't tell you how many times I go into a home and the pill bottles, I say, are lined up like trophies. There's no way to manage several medications, AM, PM, twice a day. The only way is to set up a system for managing and administering the medications. I can tell you a quick story. I had a client, she was in Virginia, her mother was in New York, her mother had some degree of dementia. And the daughter thought that she could call the mother and walk her through filling her pill box. And so I got involved and helped the mother at her end to follow and fill her pill box under observation. And so I'll ask clients, is your mother or father or loved one compliant? Are they taking their medications? And often the answer that I get, oh, I think so, because she said she did take it. Well, that's not an answer that you can trust. So unless you have some visual cue or that you've administered it and watch that they have swallowed it. You may have to crush it before. So regardless, you have to have a medication system in place. I have one for myself, and I think most of us, particularly when we're stressed out doing what we're doing as caregivers, sandwich generation, we got to keep those medications in order. And here's the last thing that I think is really, really key: an ID bracelet for yourself and for your loved one. Why? It's clear to me that your loved one could not be near you for you to give information. So just recently, I was in the hospital for 23 days with 5 blood clots, and I'm on Eliquis blood thinner. And I was advised, and it makes sense, to get an ID bracelet that just indicates that I'm on a blood thinner. It's a cute bracelet. It's not, doesn't look like one of those medical bracelets that I used to see my mother have and wear. But I think if you have the responsibility of someone else, you need to identify who you are and also have that loved one to get an ID bracelet, because people are exit seeking. And so that's just peace of mind. Am I going too fast? Because I'm trying to get a lot in. Is it helpful? I need some feedback.
I think it's fine. I think you're doing an excellent job.
Very helpful.
Okay. Here's something.
Yeah, people will ask questions at the end.
Sure. I tagged this tool, social well-being, peace of mind. That's for you, the caregiver. We so often talk about the care recipient. I'm suggesting and recommending these tools for yourself as the caregiver. Go online. There is a document booklet called 5 Wishes, and I don't know how many people are aware of it, but it outlines in a very accessible form what you want at end of life. It's different from a will. It can ask you, what kind of music would you like to hear, if you can't select music on your own. In Gloria's book, one of the contributors talked about, what is the hymn? And my father liked the same one. I won't complain. I won't complain. And so 5 wishes, you have 5 wishes, and then you can designate exactly the things that are important to you if you're not able to do those things for yourself. It is a wonderful gift for your loved ones to know what you want. One of my clients once said to me, and she was 98 years old, and she said she wanted a purple casket. That was her wish. And I'm like, oh my goodness, where am I going to get a purple casket? Well, I did my research and found her a purple lavender casket. And you can have many, many resources for getting those kinds of items online, which cuts out the middle person. Also, as a caregiver, get busy with pre-need planning, end of life planning. Let me give you an inside info. Funeral homes increase prices in December. So you can pay for funeral expenses before the expenses are needed. I'm sorry, before the funeral takes place. What's the advantage of that? You can set aside that money, which will count to reduce your income, and it's not a countable asset. So let's say you want to apply for Medicaid for your loved one. That person can't have, and every state is different, but in DC, it's about $2,100. So let's say your loved one has left $5,000. So they're over asset for Medicaid. But what you can do is pay for the funeral before it's needed, and then that will help the spend down. And I can say a little bit more about that. Maybe you know about Go Go Grandparent. It's a special program of Uber. And that's another resource. Look at it, check it online. Also, CapTel, very, very good. You can usually get it free certainly in DC, and I know it's so for Maryland, and I don't know for Virginia. Google it. It is a phone that will transcribe the call coming in. So many times, caregivers are trying to call loved ones who have hearing problems, and then that becomes a source of stress. Also, another tip is to consider, if you do a cell phone, get a jitterbug cell phone. It's easier to use, it's senior friendly. The buttons are large, and it is recommended for seniors. And then I added this because so much of caregiving with loved ones, we are inundated with the challenge of managing incontinence. There is a new device. It is for women. They haven't come up with it for men yet, but it's called Pure Wick. It's used at night. You can also Google it. Purewick. Pure Wick. It's used at night. It reduces the use of changes during the night, because you really want to make sure that, to preserve skin integrity. And Gloria, you had in your tips in the back of your book the name of a incontinence product that you really, really recommend.
Yeah, I did. Because I was having a challenge when mother was going to the doctor, and we were going to be out, or to the hairdresser, and we were going to be out for longer periods of time. And so I only knew about Poise and Depend and Always. Always was her preference. I don't know what it is about Always incontinence pants that she liked. Maybe it's the purple bow on the front. I don't know. But she that was the one that she wanted. But there is one that is so much thicker. It's called Abri Flex, ABRI-FLEX. And they're expensive, so I only use those. Are not her daily ones. I only use it when I know she's going to the hairdresser, and she may wet herself while she was out, and I didn't want her to have that embarrassment. Or when we're going to be out for any period of time, we're going to go out to eat dinner or something like that. I can't remember the cost, but whatever the cost is, it's gone up since the last time I purchased them. But I, keep them on hand so that when we go out, we'll use those.
Yeah, good point. Another source for a good product, it is more expensive than what you get through CVS, but check it out. One of the companies that will deliver incontinence products, and I've used it for years, and it's 4 letters, HDIS. HDIS. It stands for Home Delivery Incontinence Supplies. Go on the website, look for the product called Tranquility. It is the best on the market. You cannot get it retail in CVS or any of those places. So it holds a much more, like 16 ounces of urine. So it cuts down on the number of changes. It wicks away urine. So skin integrity is preserved as well. Next slide. Financial. We've talked about cost of care. Please, please, please know that the cost of care, wherever it's delivered, is going to be expensive. One of the ways that you can just educate yourself is to go on the website for Genworth Financial, GENWORTH, Genworth Financial. It will give the average cost of care for home care assistance, caregivers in the home, assisted living, and nursing home. But be aware that often we forget to factor in ancillary costs, medications, supplies, clothing that's going to be lost or ruined. So in this area, the cost of care, wherever it's delivered, and this will blow everybody's mind, I'm sure, is over $100,000 a year. And I can say more about that. It's not my amount. It's what is the national cost that's been surveyed and identified by Genworth Financial. Let's see.
I think I mentioned that in my book, Irene, that the cost is like $10,000 a month. Average cost is about $10,000 a month.
And that's in an assisted living community, which is not a nursing home. A nursing home is going to be more expensive. And people think Medicare will cover nursing home costs. That can only happen under certain circumstances and after a certain period of time. And I can't go into it now, but in our community, there is a notion that, oh my goodness, the nursing home is going to take that loved one's house. Well, there are ways to avoid that from happening, to have that house not absorbed by the nursing home.
And that's the information you can get from an estate planner or elder law attorney. Is that where you can get further information about that?
Absolutely. And you can also have a consultation with geriatric care manager. Yes, very, very open to it. So how do we pay for this? When I have experienced the new products that are on the market and available now, and if you don't take away anything else from my few comments, please know and share these products, I'm going to call them. One is a life settlement. Life settlement. So that's using an insurance policy to cash out to pay for whatever your loved one needs. It retains a death benefit. You don't have to pay premiums anymore. I see so many clients who are continuing to pay those premiums, or either they say the premiums are too high, and then they let the policy lapse. But check with your loved one, check yourself to see what you might be able to get from a life settlement. It's a whole new product. Google life settlement, and you will get some basic information about it. So you're using a person's insurance policy, whether it's whole or term life, to get some money. A viatical is another product. Also Google that. I can't go into it. Usually to get a viatical payment, the person has to have a terminal illness. So if you get money from your policy, it must go to pay for your care. Also a bridge loan. There is a company that is specializes in giving bridge loans. And what we know what a bridge loan is. What's different here is Elder Life Financial. That's the company, Elder Life Financial. Let's say your loved one has a house and you know it's going to be sold, but you need money to move them into an assisted living or a group home, but you don't have the $10,000. Elder Life Financial can give you a bridge loan on the house until the house is sold. So the house is used as a collateral. You get the money you need to start you have cash to pay for care before the home is sold. Also, this is something else overlooked. I encounter it all the time. It's kind of an afterthought for many families. And I will ask, does your loved one have a long-term care policy? And 80% of adult children will say they're not sure if their loved one, their parent, has a long-term care policy. And then I will say, if you have access to their bank account, look to see if there is a premium payment coming out each month. And you may want to look at that policy and do a claim, start a claim. That's also an untapped resource. So Medicaid spend down can be very, very complicated. And I can also say, if it is at all possible, avoid Medicaid. Don't think of Medicaid as a given, because Medicaid, you're getting service that is substandard. That is just the reality. And Medicaid is only, and I'll make an exception, can only get Medicaid in a nursing home. And that's the issue. If we could take those dollars and use them in the community for care, that's one thing. Yes, there's something called, and Gloria talked about this, Medicaid waiver that you can use Medicaid in the community, those Medicaid dollars in the community. The Medicaid waiver waiting list in Maryland is over 2,000 people. Okay. Call me, contact me. I would just welcome sharing information about any of these products and things, issues that can help all of us financially, because care costs. And I'm not sure what the last slide is. Resources. Just some of the resources that a lot of folks are not always aware of. So that there is a National Association of Elder Law Attorneys. Go on their website. You can get the name of a certified elder law attorney from the website. Then there is the American Geriatrics.
And I'll do.
There is, what else go down to the Center for Medicare Advocacy. The Center for Medicare Advocacy. Wonderful resource. You can call them and ask about an issue that you're having that involves Medicare, and you can get an answer. And I won't talk about compassion and choices for the moment. There are lots of senior serving professionals and resources that have come into being as a result of the many people now who are aging. Besides, geriatric care managers can help you navigate the landscape of elder care. They're daily money managers. They're certified. They will help pay your bills, do all sorts of accounting things that can ease the burden of managing a loved one's finances and paying their bills and that kind of thing. These senior serving professionals are certified and have to pass rigorous certification and training. Also, another resource, and I always am amazed when people are so happy to know about these senior serving professionals. Somebody put that in there. Couldn't see that, Gloria. Maybe you can put it up again and I can pause. You want to read that? We couldn't see because everybody.
Your book? No.
Okay, I'm not sure what happened. Let me just finish this slide and then. How are we doing on our time? Senior Move Specialist can help you downsize a house, clear it out, make arrangements to move a loved one from one city to a next. I've used them and help families relocate their loved ones to be closer, and that can be a really helpful specialty to know about. And then physiatrist, not psychiatrist, but a physiatrist, physical medicine. And why do I put that here? Because so many seniors, people who are aging, have mobility issues. And so going to a physiatrist, physical medicine, can be extremely helpful. And the last tool resource to know about is a behind the wheel driving assessment. So often families come to me and say, oh, my loved one, shouldn't be driving. can't be driving. I don't know what to do. I don't want to take away the keys. And I say, taking away the keys is not the answer. Let them have a behind the wheel driving assessment. And that assessment will serve to document whether or not that person is has the capacity, vision, hearing, reflex time to continue to drive. My caregiving inspiration came from I'm a daddy's girl, and I started as a family caregiver for my father, my mother, my two aunts, and became certified trained as a geriatric care manager, applied gerontologist. And I help families and individuals to navigate the landscape and to get them where they need to be, fully equipped with knowledge. And I do a lot of coaching.
Wow, thank you so much, Irene. That was so packed full of information. I'm going to open up the floor for people who have questions. I'm going to jump in first. I'm going to jump ahead of the line. I really resonated with you when you were talking about the medications, because for me, when I first started caring for mother and not having the information that I now have with regards to dementia, I assumed that she was taking her medications because she had been doing it for so many decades. Blood pressure was, when I took her to her cardiologist, her blood pressure was always high. And what he would do would increase the medication. But what was happening is that she was not taking her medication as prescribed. She wasn't compliant with it. So I encourage everyone to, like you said, make sure that they're swallowing the medication, that, they're there, that you are actually witnessing them doing that. Later on, just a couple months ago, mother started holding the medication in her mouth.
Right.
And I had to adjust that. I was wondering, well, when she falls asleep, why is this chalky stuff running down the side of her mouth? I don't understand this. Do I need to take her to the doctor? But she was actually holding the medication in her mouth. And what we discovered is she was having issues with swallowing. Right. So what happens when they don't take the medication is the condition that they're being treated for is not being treated, and then that will cause the doctors to continue to either change medications or increase medications. So it's incumbent upon us to make sure that they're taking that medication. And also, mother is diabetic, so she's been taking insulin for nearly 50 years. And I just assumed that she was still taking her insulin the way that she'd been taking it. But she had actually, I was sitting down with her one day and I handed her the pen for the insulin, and she looked up at me and she says, "What am I supposed to do with this?" She had forgotten how to administer the insulin to herself. So that's important. I had another question about the Medicaid. Once you start Medicaid, can you stop? Because what I'm finding out now is that Medicaid can go back and ask after the Medicaid recipient passes on, they can go back and ask money from the heirs. I'm finding that.
I don't know about that, but that's a good question for your elder law attorney. But I can say this: they're going to get their money. Medicaid, it's not a free ride. However, if there is a community spouse in the house, or a disabled adult family member in the house is excluded from as an asset. Okay. That community spouse, however, in DC can only have $120,000
In total assets.
total assets. The house is excluded, the car is excluded. Life insurance policy is a countable asset. So that's why sometimes it's not wise to continue to have that policy. Cash it in. There are strategies to use to maximize your the products that you do have in order to spend down to Medicaid, if that's the plan. But I always say is make your money scream to avoid Medicaid to the extent possible because you're getting substandard care. That's the reality. You're on public assistance with Medicaid. And it's not also, I hear all the time families saying, oh, my mother makes too much money. It's not about the income, it's about the assets. So let's say your loved one makes $5,000 a month from whatever source. What will happen? You have to look at the total picture, which Medicaid will do, and take all but $70 of the $5,000, use that balance to offset the payment to the nursing home. Does that make sense?
It does.
You're never necessarily over income. It's just that Medicaid will take that income, leave you $70, I think it is in the district now. Okay, because the government's got to recoup their money for paying for Medicaid. So you're not going to get a free ride. I think you're not going to get a free ride.
Okay, that's very valid. Any other questions? Anybody else have any questions, comments for Irene? Was the information helpful?
Yeah.
I know it was overwhelming,
Yeah,
but
I have a couple of questions if nobody else. This is Rose, and I wanted to know, there was one slide there, and I had to step away for my mom. It was a V on financial resources.
Oh,
What was
Viatico?
What was it?
It's V as in Victor, IATICAL.
And what exact is that?
Rose, I'm going to tell you to Google it.
Okay.
Card that I'm not giving you. I know you, so I can say this to you as a little sister. How's that? The person has to have a terminal illness, a terminal disease, different from a life settlement. Life settlement, you use the insurance policy to, you can use the money for anything you want. The viatical requires that the person be at least 70 years old and has a terminal illness.
Yeah, I know at one time they were letting AIDS patients use it, or others who had terminal illnesses that was well. The other question that I had was in terms of the resources, because that page went by really quickly. And and I didn't get a chance to really see those. Are they listed in your book?
Well, not probably exactly, because I did this especially for this conversation. But I'm going to put Gloria on the spot. If you all send your list, how can we do this, Gloria?
They can email me and I can send them your PowerPoint.
There you go.
Is that fine?
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Irene, I wanted to ask you, I thought, and I found a valuable resource with the Ombudsman Office for the Elderly.
Yes, good.
And they can be very, very helpful, particularly when they had cut down on my mom's hours and all, and they were telling me what to do with the in terms of the process, and to definitely appeal it. But the ombudsman, whenever there is an issue, kind of knows the direction that you can pursue. I don't know anybody else's experience, but I think that's a great resource.
Yep, very, very good, Rose. Thank you so much. Excellent resource. Don't suffer if something isn't feeling right in any of these facilities, group homes, small group homes, nursing homes. You should be given the ombudsman in your area. And I know the aging offices can identify the ombudsman to contact. And ombudsmen are volunteers, they're not paid. So they are objective and are advocates for your loved one.
Okay.
Thank you, Rose. That was a great addition.
Any other questions?
Yes, not a
Comment.
question, but a comment. This is Sharon Gregg, Lisa's aunt. One thing that I found really, really useful and helpful when I accompany my husband to and from doctor's appointments and tests and all that stuff, I have a designated journal that I take with me. And I write down everything that the doctor says, all the changes that occur, his blood pressure, his weight gain or weight loss, his oxygen level, and all that stuff. And it is so helpful when we get home. If we can't recall what was said or done, I can go back to the date, the time, and find the information that we're looking for.
Good point. I experienced so many families, and the adult children or family friend will transport that individual, but have them go into the doctor's office by themselves. And so the doctor will say, do you need X prescription? And they will say yes, and then it's a different dosage than the one that they had. So that's really important to have the person accompany. Now, you can't always do that. That's what geriatric care managers can do. 80% of my time is accompanying clients to appointments and making sure Dr. A gets what Dr. B said and B gets C. So it's called coordination of care. And that is so important.
Yeah, I know when I first came to take care of my mother, I got pushed back from a couple of her doctors that I was actually attending her visits. They really, they didn't want anybody asking questions, because prior to me coming, mother was just catching a taxi and going to the doctor's appointments.
Right.
But sitting in on her doctor's appointment helped me to understand that she wasn't compliant with the treatment plan.
Right.
She would leave the doctor's office and then she would make any changes, right?
It's too much. It's too much to absorb. And Gloria, I'd like to ask you if you had given the doctor's office an authorization.
I had not. I haven't done an authorization. I don't have an authorization.
Regardless, do it. Everyone on this
I will.
Zoom today, do it. It's simple, simple, simple. I authorize my daughter, my son, my friend, my cat, my dog. I'm being silly, but to ask questions, get information, share information. Because here's the deal. People will use HIPAA conveniently when it's not necessarily the case at all. Okay?
Right.
HIPAA is the Privacy Act, and you'll try to call Medicare for something and they say, oh no, we don't have it. So you do a preemptive strike and call and say, what's the fax number for Medicare, and fax in a copy of your authorization. Mail it in, distribute it widely.
All right. Any other questions? We're actually running out of time.
Me, I have a question.
Okay, Olivia.
Hi,
Jump
everybody.
right
I'm
in.
Olivia. I'm Lisa's daughter. I was a part of the village who was a caretaker for my great-grandmother, Jinxie. I was the youngest. So now that I'm in my early 30s, I reflect on how my village took care of my great-grandmother. Like, I didn't have an inkling of things to do. You know, there's so much that goes into being a caretaker. I mean, mentally, physically, emotionally, like everything. So we were lucky to have an entire village to take care of her. And I know it takes a toll on every single person. So my question is there like a hotline or anything for caretakers? Like, we know there's a veterans hotline, you know, there's a suicide hotline. Is there a hotline or resources for caretakers for the emotional toll to deal with literally watching your loved one perish in front of your eyes and there's nothing you can do about it? Like, especially for the solo caretakers, what do they do? How do they have anybody to talk to? If they don't, what do they do?
Yeah, that's excellent, Olivia. I go to the website of Aging Life Care Association. Aging Life Care Association. There are support groups to connect with. Your question is excellent. Those resources are out there. You just have to dig. Also, many of my colleagues and I will often do monthly support groups. That's another. Also, and I'm giving it a kind of ad for myself, this profession of geriatric care managers, many times that's exactly what families are doing, or individuals are calling me for consultation. Now, what can I do about X? Somebody mentioned about falling out of the bed. I would say if that's happening repeatedly, you may want to get a fall mat. And so I can give solutions to issues and challenges that can arise. To get a fully electric bed, which is different from a bed that, a hospital bed that only rises a certain point. And fully electric means that the bed can go maybe 4 inches from the floor, but you have to pay an additional amount for that feature. Medicare will cover a regular bed, but if you want a fully electric, you pay something like $25 a month for that feature. But there are things that the general public just doesn't know. It's hidden. And let me just say to you, Olivia, you also get your documents in place as a young person. Anybody over 18 should have power of attorney, financial and health. Over 18.
I wanted to share this with you, Olivia. My mother has Alzheimer's or dementia on the spectrum. And at one point when she first came to live with me, she would get up in the middle of the night and come down and open the door. And I really was alarmed. I wasn't getting any sleep. But I called to the Alzheimer's Association, and they have a 24-hour person network there. And they are there to help walk you down off the wall when you are at your wit's end. And they were very helpful. about the fall mat. There were other things, devices, so that if her foot hit the floor, that would alarm me, would let me know, and all. And plus, I have cowbells on my door, so I'm just saying that maybe individual, if there's a certain condition that a person has, that particular organization might be able to helpful. I really swear by the Alzheimer's Association.
Yes.
They are really very good.
They are. They are.
And this is for Libby. There was a national Family Caregivers Association. You can Google that, but I think they may have changed their name to Caregiver Action Network. So look into that. And it began maybe back in 2005 or something like that, but it had good information for caregivers in terms of taking care of themselves.
Thanks.
Okay, well, this has been wonderful.
Can
Thank
hi.
everybody. Yes, hi.
Hi, this is Ron and Andrew Stevenson. We're apologizing for signing on late, but we had an
Oh, that's
emergency
okay.
and we had to go to the hospital, and so that derailed us from signing on earlier. But first of all, we
Okay, hope
appreciate it.
everybody is okay.
Well, we're still working through it, but just keep us in prayer. But I can see that this was very, very thorough. And so we're very happy that we were able to at least catch the back end of it. And one of the things I wanted to mention, and because it's so thorough, you probably covered it. So I want to apologize in advance if you did cover it. And that is the option of long-term care insurance, which is obviously expensive, I know, but it gives peace of mind. And if those who are able to purchase long-term care insurance, it allows them to care for their loved ones at home for whatever that period of care may be, whether it's 3 years or 4 years, depending upon how they set it up. And if after that they need to go into a nursing home, then the amount that they paid into their long-term care will then, they can keep those assets if they have to go into a nursing home. Now, on an average, and I know you know all of this, so I'm not telling you something you don't know, but on average, about 70%-ish of seniors at some point may need some sort of long-term care insurance or long-term care.
Long-term care.
Only about 10-12% of people have some sort of long-term care insurance. And after those, only about 3-4% of African Americans have long-term care insurance. And the reason is because it's expensive, but it gives you that peace of mind that if something happens, you know that you're covered. And we know that we take out a lot of insurance, and not everyone uses their insurance, or insurance companies will go out of business. So it does give us some level of peace of mind. So I just wanted to just add that into an option of those who at least want to consider it. Now, if somebody's considering it, then they would have to go through a rigid physical, because if they find things like you had a stroke or you had a heart attack, then insurance companies are probably going to want to try to stay away from that particular person because it's a risk. But if someone hasn't had those experiences, they can probably get that kind of insurance. And though expensive, it will give them peace of mind. And it does, once it goes in place, it is tied into a COLA, cost of living adjustment. So each year it will go up in accordance with the cost of living. So I just wanted to add that in.
Right. And I was just going to say that's, again, a significant part of my practice is managing those long-term insurance claims and getting them started.
Okay. Yes, and Irene did mention that in her presentation, but thank you for bringing it up and going further into it. Okay, so I think we are wrapping up. I want to thank Lesa and Irene for being my guests for the evening. You both shared so much information that was so helpful to me, and I'm almost certain that it was helpful to other people. One of the things that came up for me, though, is, Irene, a piece about being an only child and what happens when you're an only child. And what happens when you are childless in terms of your long-term care. So those are some things that we need to think about too, is that identifying the person that you want to be your caregiver, if at all possible. And then what happens when you're the only child, or not the only child, but it seems as if you are the only child because the rest of them are unwilling or unable to assist. So those are things that we need to think about. I think it's very important. I've said this all along, is that it's important for us to put a plan in place. And Irene touched on that in her presentation. But we need to start planning now. And even, her encouragement to Olivia to put her paperwork in order now. Let's begin now making decisions about how we want to be cared for and who might be that responsible person to care for us. So thank you all so much for attending. This has been a blessing, just like the last one. The next one, I endeavor to do this the last Sunday of each month. So the next webinar will be on May 28th. We will have an elder law attorney, Lesa Brown is the attorney, who will come and share information about us, with us about legal documentation that needs to be in place, as well as I think it's always important to hear stories. Story sharing is such an integral part of what helps us. And so, we will have a guest who will share her story also. So everybody, thank you. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for the comments. Know that I will send everybody who left me an email address the PowerPoint presentation from Lesa. And then also I did put in the chat Irene's book, Elder Care is Art and Ministry, and that it is on Amazon. I included the link to Amazon. I don't think, did I include mine? But no. Go and search. Okay, let me just type in here real quickly the name of the book, When Black Starts to Crack.
And Gloria, quick question for you. Is this recording available for everybody to take a look at again?
I'm hoping it will be. What I will do is I will email everybody. I think that it will be, but I will email everybody the link to it. That way you will have access to the information.
Excellent.
And I am on, if I can spell community right. And the book is on sale at Amazon.com, or you can email me at info@gloriarease.com if you don't want to purchase on Amazon, and we can discuss some alternative ways that you could order the book. Okay. So I just sent that to everybody. All right. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. And we'll see you all the next time, okay?
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.